right. Well, good morning. How are you guys? It's great to see you and to be back here with you. Today we are continuing, as Luke said, in our series, The Gospel According to John. And we're going to be in chapter 8 if you want to go ahead and get turned there. Originally I was going to teach from starting at verse 1 of chapter 8. And as the calendar would have it, today is Mother's Day. And so I thought perhaps I should pause on the first part and kind of skip further down there because since today is Mother's Day, I would hate for this to be, hey, how was that church you visited today? Or how was church today? And, oh, it's great. It was Mother's Day. They preached on a sermon about a woman. It was a woman caught in adultery. And so we'll save that story for another day, all right? So we'll jump down to verse 12, and we'll pick it up there, all right? So last week, just to catch you up while you're getting to verse 12, we saw that Jesus had returned to Jerusalem, and he was there for the Feast of Tabernacles. And while he was there, he said this. He said, "Whoever believes in me, as Scripture has said, rivers of living water will flow from within them." So Jesus was speaking about the Holy Spirit. That's what John told us. And but Jesus did it in such a way that his hearers, who were Jewish, would recognize what he was talking about based on what was happening at the Feast of Tabernacles. So Jesus kind of had an object lesson built into that statement. Today we're going to be looking at Jesus' second I am statement in the Gospel of John. And there's I can't remember, 6 or 7 more that are coming. The first I am statement he made was, I am the bread of life, right? And so today, though, we'll look at the second one. We're going to be in verse 12, and here's what he said. When Jesus spoke again to the people, he said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. So Jesus said this at the conclusion of the Feast of Tabernacles. And just to kind of catch you up again, remember that Feast of Tabernacles was a 7-day feast. So at the end of 7 days, Jesus said this on the 8th day. And so I want to look at 2 things this morning in that statement that Jesus makes. One is his claim, right, that I am the light of the world. And then the second is his promise that whoever follows me will never walk in darkness. So first, his claim, right, I am the light of the world. I think that no matter what your experience with church or with Jesus, right, no matter your understanding of who he was or what he was about, I think that most people would understand this statement as being something positive, right? Because we tend to think of light, in no pun intended, in a positive light. We associate it with positive things. So think about statements that we use even today that reflect that kind of positive orientation around light, right? So if someone has an outgoing personality, you might say, well, gosh, they really light up the room, right, when they walk into the room. Or if someone is in a particularly dark time, right, but maybe they're coming out of it, they might say, well, yeah, it's been bad, but I see light at the end of the tunnel. Or if you were dealing with something that you thought was positive, but perhaps it could be perceived as negative, you might say, well, I want this to be seen in a positive light, right? So I think all of us, regardless of our walk with Jesus, understand that light kind of has a positive orientation or connotation to it. So light is positive, right? But what Jesus is really saying when he says, I am the light of the world, he's saying the world is covered in darkness. The world is in darkness, and I am the only light in the world. I'm the only light in the world. But he's also saying that he's the only light for you and for me as well. And here's where it gets a little troublesome for us, right? We don't have a problem with Jesus saying, okay, I am the light of the world. I'm the only light in the world. Great, Jesus, I'm good with that. You do you, and I'll do me. But if Jesus is saying, I am the only light for you, or I'm the only light for you, Dean, we might bow up a little bit about that, right? Because at the end of the day, we all really want to be our own light. We want to be the light in our life, right? We have a plan. We want to be in charge of us. And then that's when we come to difficulties with dealing with Jesus, right? Because our orientation is generally, well, that's great, Jesus, but I have a better way. See, I have a plan. I know me. I've got this all worked out that I will be the light in my life. I'll be the positive force in my life. I'll be the one to figure things out in my life. I know there's a better way forward. I have a better plan. There's a better future, and I'll make my own light. don't really need you doing that for me, Jesus. How's that working for you? I mean, I think we all know how that plays out, right? So Jesus isn't saying, I know the light. He's not saying, I know where you can find the light. He's not even saying, I know how you can get the light. He's saying, I am the light, right? He's saying he exclusively is the only source of light. And it's just not the source of light. He is light itself. If you go back to John chapter 1, that's how John started this, right? In the beginning. What's the word? So without light, without following the light, without the true light in your life, this is how your life plays out. You're stumbling around in the darkness, bumping into things, incurring self-inflicted wounds, right? Self-inflicted injury, never understanding why that's happening, and never really understanding yourself, right? Because you don't know your own true self because you're in darkness, right? Falsely believing that you can get it figured out. Falsely believing that, the worm will turn for me. I'll just change this, right? You've got a plan. You're going to change this in your life, or you're going to add this to your life, right? And Jesus' claim, again, is exclusive. He's not one of many lights. He is the light of the world. There's not an alternative. If you don't want to walk in darkness, there's only one alternative, and it is found in the person of Jesus. That's why he could say, I am the light of the world. He alone is the light of the world. He's very specific about that. It is an exclusive claim. You know, Luke and I meet with our accountant once a month. And we go over the finances for Hope Fellowship, and we ask him some questions, and he asks us some questions. And this little thing is starting to play out now. Every month, we load up in my car, we look at each other, and one of us says, do you remember how to get there? Because we meet him at Double Shot Coffee Shop, which, hey, I know they're competitor of our coffee shop, but they do have good coffee there. So there's plenty of room in Tulsa for good coffee shops, okay? We prefer that you come here to get your coffee, though. Just saying, all right? So anyway, so we go there. We've done this 5 or 6 months now. Same thing. Plays out second week of every month. Get in my car. Do you remember how to get there? Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay. We start driving. We never drive right there. Never. It's 3 miles away from here, okay? Look, between the two of us, we've got at least 12 years of college, and that's just on our undergraduates, okay? So, no, that's not true. But I think we're reasonably intelligent people, okay? But we think we know how to get there, and we end up, we went too far north, we didn't go far enough, we're like 4 blocks over to the east too far, we mess it up. Every month, we're stumbling around in the darkness, and we have this little thing right here, right, that could show us the way. But no, we don't want to do that. We think we know the way, okay? And so it is with all of us in our life. I don't need the light in my life. I got a plan. I got it figured out. I can get there. Jesus says that he's the light of the world at the end of the Feast of Tabernacles. And I told you it was a 7-day feast. He says this on the 8th day. It's pretty strategic when he said that. During the Feast of Tabernacles, and we talked about this last week, but just to rehash again, it celebrates, it remembers all that God has done for the nation of Israel. They remember what he did for them when they were wandering around in the wilderness. You could say they were wandering around in darkness, and only God knew where they were going, right? So he provided food for them. He provided water for them. When they had nothing, right? They had no home, no land, no idea where they were going. They were totally dependent on God. And he was providing everything they needed for them, right? It was a time when God was all they had because they had nothing else. They had no home, no land, no idea where they were going. God was all they had. When God is all you have, you really discover that he's all you need. Right? God is all you need when he's all you have. I was talking with someone last week about, why is Christianity just exploding in Africa? And we talked about, a lot of the distractions we have here. And that is some of it, right? We have everything we could ever possibly want. I don't care if you're in the bottom 2% in the United States. Compared to some places in the rest of the world, you are a rich, rich, rich person. You have everything you need. and they're just distractions. I think the idol of this world is busyness and stuff. You know, the fact that we have storage units, and I'll just add confession, we have a storage unit, okay? The fact that we have storage units just confirms we got more stuff than we know what to do with, okay? So, but when you have nothing, you'll find really quickly that God is all you need. So, during this festival, it was a constant reminder for them. God showed up when we needed him. God was our provider. God was all we had. And the festival was supposed to remind them, he's really all you need. Even now, you've got your own country. God gave it to you. God gave you your own city, right? He's still all you need. But they needed that reminder. At night, during the festival, the temple would get lit up. So they had these giant 75-foot menorahs. Just picture how tall 75 feet. It's gigantic, okay? 75-foot menorahs. Menorah is just a big candelabra, if you don't know what that is, okay? So on top of them, though, on the top of these 75-foot menorahs, there was a big bowl on each one of those 4 little pieces that held 10 gallons of oil. That's a lot of oil, okay? And then it was a wick. So these were gigantic candles, and there were 4 of them in the court of the women at the temple. The temple sits up on a hill in Jerusalem. If you've seen pictures of it, you've seen, all that's left today is the Temple Mount. But it is like the highest part in Jerusalem. So you on a hill, got the court of women there, you've got these 75-foot menorahs or candelabras there at night, putting out all of this light. And it was said that no matter where you were in Jerusalem, you could see the light from those menorahs. You could see the light of the temple. And that light represented God, right? It reminded them again, God was with them. God was for them. Remember that day when he was all we had? Yeah, I remember because of the light. And it was a big party because it was almost like daylight. People danced, they sang, the Levitical musicians from the priestly class, they were playing instruments all night. It was a big, big party for 7 days. And then at the end of that 7-day festival, back to the everyday world, right? Back to working for the man, back to your normal life, back to just kind of existing and doing your own thing, back to just getting by. And Jesus was saying, when he said, I'm the light of the world, he's saying, I'm not only the light of the temple, that light that you see and reminds you of God, that's me, right? The true light is in the temple when I'm here. But I'm not only the light of the temple, I am the light of the world, right? And I'm the light that you should follow. I'm your provider now. Just as God was your provider in the wilderness, true provision is here. It's why David could say this in the Psalms. He said, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? After making this claim that he is the light of the world, then Jesus made the promise. It's the second part of his statement. He said, whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Now, that light is a conditional promise, okay? It's based on a condition, and the condition is this: whoever follows me, okay? You can have the light, but you have to follow me. If you meet that condition, the light can be yours. Now, whoever means whoever, right? Jew, Gentile, man, woman, child, pagan, Greek, doesn't matter. It was whoever. It could also be read as the one who follows me. If you are the one who follows Jesus, you can walk in light. But you have to meet that condition if you follow him, right? That's always Jesus called us. Think about his call to his disciples. Follow me. That's still his call to us today. Just follow me. The call's never clean yourself up first and then come hang out with me. The call's never get your life right and then come follow me. The call's always follow me. And then you'll find that in me, all that stuff really doesn't matter anymore because I am the light of the world. I'll illuminate in your life what you need to get rid of because I am the true light. You follow me, I'll shine the light in the dark corners of your life. You'll throw that stuff out as fast as you can throw it out in the light of Jesus Christ. Don't get confused. This is sad for American Christianity. But we've tended to add a fairy tale element to what it looks like to follow Jesus, okay? Maybe you've heard these stories or these testimonies from people. Oh yeah, I decided to follow Jesus and then my life was great. I lived happily ever after. I hope that's true, but here's a, what is it called? Spoiler alert, that's it. Spoiler alert. It doesn't usually work out that way. You know why? Because we still live in this place, and this place is darkness. We live in darkness. Just because you walk in the light, Jesus didn't come to be the light and eradicate all darkness, not yet, okay? We still live in darkness, but we have the true light within us. And so, you're going to be surrounded by bad stuff. Bad stuff still happens in your life. You know that to be true. How you deal with it is based on you having the light inside of you, right? Things that happen aren't necessarily soul-crushing. Yes, they're bad, but they're not as bad as they might be if you weren't walking in the light, right? So, the light is inside of us, and it's in our hearts. When Jesus comes, he will remove all darkness. But for now, we are walking in the light in darkness. Listen to how the Apostle Paul described his calling from Jesus. This verse we're about to read is Paul describing what Jesus said to him, right? Jesus said, hey, I'm going to send you to the Gentiles, not the nation of Israel, which are your own people. That'd be easy, Paul. I'm going to send you to the Gentiles. I'm going to send you to the pagans. I'm going to send you to the people who have many, many gods. I'm going to send you to the people who think life is just get what you can get while you can get it for you. Those are the people I'm going to send you to, because those are the people that need light. This is Acts 18. Here's Jesus. I'm going to send you, Paul, to open their eyes and turn them from darkness to light, and from the power of Satan to God, so that they may receive forgiveness of sins and a place among those who are sanctified by faith in me. Jesus is saying that to walk in the light is to be free from the slavery of sin and condemnation. That's what walking in the light is, that you are free from the slavery of sin and the condemnation that comes with that. Because when you walk in darkness, you are a slave to sin. And you receive the condemnation that comes with that, right? But he also says, because you walk in the light, because you follow me and walk in the light, you have a place. You have a new place. You have a new home. This place ain't your home anymore. There is a new home for you that is filled with light, right? Even with the light, we will still walk through darkness. Not in darkness, we will walk through darkness. That's why David said, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of the death. I walk through it. I don't camp out in it. I don't live there. I walk through the darkness because I have the light inside of me. Tragedy is going to enter into your life. Chaos is going to enter into your life, right? And when that happens to you, it's not if, but when that happens to you, don't think that Jesus has forgotten his promise. Don't think, oh, wait a minute. The bad stuff's not supposed to happen to me because I'm walking in the light. Again, we live in a world that is full of darkness. Jesus has not forgotten his promise. It's in those moments of darkness, that's when the promise shines brightest. Because the promise, which is you'll walk in light, as I said, it shines into the darkest corners of your life. It illuminates sin, right? But it also illuminates the goodness of God in those dark times. That's when you see the promise at its greatest. In the darkness, in the despair, in the pain, the light shows you that the troubles of the world really are just momentary. Okay? It never was meant to be this way. Really, the troubles that we walk through are foreign to this world. This was never the plan from the beginning. Right? Go back to Genesis. This pain, sin, death, illness, relational issues, all foreign to the original plan. And that's what the light does. It shows us that this is all just temporary. This is not the way it was supposed to be. But this new place, this new home I have, that's the way it really will be, right? The light shines on the goodness and beauty of things, and it reminds us, right, that we have a place, that we have a new home where goodness and beauty reign. Goodness and beauty are the norm there, not pain and brokenness. But even now, in this dark world, even now, the light will help you bear the weight of sorrows. Right? His light will be a soft glow of comfort for you, right? When you're alone in your thoughts, when your heart is breaking, his light will be a lamp for you that lights your path out of that valley of shadow. Because the light is the maker and owner of the world, this world was made for that light. This place was made for the light of Jesus because he is the creator, right? Like I said, the light not only shines on sin and shows us how ugly and foreign it is, but it also makes everything good in the world shine brighter. This world is made for and is illuminated by the light of Jesus, right? The darkness hasn't overcome it because this world was never made for the darkness. It was made for light. Jesus' promise is whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, right? It is an eternal promise to us all that he is the light of the world. And that means that one day the world will be filled with his light, and all darkness and all the works of darkness, pain, sin, sorrow, regret, remorse, the things that dog us in this place, all those things will be cast into outer darkness where they belong because they don't belong in the light. But it also means that the children of darkness will be cast into outer darkness as well, right? Darkness is not just the absence of light. Darkness is the absence of divine presence. Darkness is not just bad deeds. It is the absence of divine presence. There's many people that think, well, I'm a good moral person. I don't do anything bad. But in the absence of the presence of the divine light, there's darkness. In Matthew's gospel, he tells us of a time when Jesus healed a servant of a Roman centurion, right? Jesus healed him, but that Roman centurion showed great faith. He said, hey, you don't even have to come to my house. Actually, I'm not even worthy for you to come to my house. I'm a man in power. You're a man in power. I know that all you have to do is say the word, and he will be healed. And Jesus was blown away by the faith of this apparently pagan man. And so Jesus turns to the crowd that's there. These are the religious people that are following him. These are the religious leaders that are trying to trap him. And Jesus marvels at the faith that was just shown. And so he tells them a story. He says, hey, one day, in the end, there's going to be this great wedding feast. They knew exactly what he's talking about. For us, that's the time when Jesus comes back. It's a wedding feast because he comes back for his bride, the church. Okay? So Jesus says, there's this wedding banquet that's going to happen. And there are going to be people there that come thinking that they're guests at that banquet. And they're going to be in for a very unpleasant surprise. This is what he said. But the subjects of the kingdom will be thrown outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Those people thought they were in the light. I'm a good moral person. I don't do any bad stuff. But it's the absence of the divine presence of Jesus in their life that puts them in the darkness. It's no accident that Jesus told that story after the centurion showed such great faith, right? Because the centurion didn't just say he believed in Jesus. He didn't just say that he thought Jesus was the Messiah. He demonstrated it in his faith. So it's the lack of faith that is found in those who are in darkness, right? A divine presence that's missing in their lives. So the challenge that Jesus issued over 2,000 years ago still stands. In John 12, here's what Jesus said. He said, believe in the light while you have the light, so that you may become children of light. Believe in the light while you still have the light. That challenge is still true for us today, that we should believe in the light while we still have time. See, when you believe in Jesus as the source of light in your life, when you follow him as truth, right? Not something that adds to your life, but you follow him as truth in your life. In fact, he is the only part of your life where there is truth that's found, right? He is the light that shines brightest in your life. Then you in turn are a child of light. That's what Jesus said, so that you may become a child of light. You're reborn into the family of life, no longer to walk in darkness. Being a follower of Jesus, walking in the light, doesn't mean that we become robots, right? It means we're able to fully embrace, it's only in the light that we're able to fully embrace our individuality. You can see in the light who God really created you to be. And God's creative. He didn't create millions of people to be exactly the same. But it's only in the light that you can discover who you really are. In the darkness, you don't know. It's like Luke and I trying to find Double Shot Cafe, right? We're driving around thinking we know where we're going and we don't have a clue. That's what happens without the light to reveal who you are in your life, right? The light of the world allows us to see, truly see who we are. Not who the world says we are, not who we think we are, but who God says we are, who he created us to be. It's only in the light of the world. And it's only in the light that he can truly guide us. We live in a world that's covered in darkness. We need the light of the world to get us through this. In Christ, we have the absolute fullness of light and life. Let me pray for us.